All right, so I picked this up today. It was, I don't know if they're ever actually on sale. They just always kind of have like a sale price. But then I also got a 15% off coupon. So I ended up getting it for, I think it was $280 plus tax, which here in Utah, used machines and equipment and stuff, for whatever reason, goes for used just about what it costs new. Like there's a used one of these that looks like it's been sitting outside for 15 years. Exact same central machinery deal. And he wants $250 for it. So it's like, dude, it's been listed forever. It'll probably never sell, but you know, that's the only one I could find available in Utah. So this is gonna replace, I have a power hacksaw that I've had for a pretty long time. I'm gonna clean that up and sell it. Might make a video of cleaning it, 'cause it's a pretty cool machine. It's an old Jefferson, I think 106. It's just a power hacksaw, so it's basically like a big hacksaw that just goes back and forth. And it works fine for what it is, but it takes a long time to cut anything very thick. This, I think, will probably be quite a bit faster. So this is the old power hacksaw. I don't remember what I paid for it, probably like $50 or something. It's made by Keller, actually, but when I was looking online, it looks like it's a copy of a Jefferson. Keller also made some really big ones of these, but blades for this thing don't last very long, and they're like $20 a piece. So this is and there's only a couple companies that still make them. This is a Starrett. This was the one I could get to work the best. It's a 12-inch by 1-inch tall blade, 14 teeth per inch. But the problem is, as the blade wears, you have to kind of space your piece out further and further back so that you use the whole blade. Otherwise, you're only using this 4-inch section. It's about a, I don't know, 4-inch stroke or so. But you can fit a pretty good sized chunk of steel in here. I think like 6-inch tall, maybe. But yeah, there's your Anchorage school district. Some dude from Canada brought it all the way down to Utah and then put it up for sale. But it's really nice. It's got little brass gibs, little oilers in here. It hadn't seen too much use. When I first got it, I took it all apart, cleaned everything, made sure everything was good. And it runs really good. It shuts off all by itself. Once it reaches the bottom, it drops down and flips the switch right there. It runs on a, oh, this is the speed selector for the machine, not the actual motor. The motor is a 1/2 horsepower dealio. And yeah, it's got some Babbitt bearings in here. 2 speeds on these 2 different pulleys. And then you can adjust like your downward pressure here. Nice cast iron base. It says it's a Keller 80, but when I was looking online, I think one of the two copied each other, or maybe bought one of the other companies out at some point. But what I could find online was this is a Jefferson 106. And there's a serial number, a part number, 1HF26715. But it's been a good little machine. It's just, you know, you go through blades, $20 a piece. You can't flip them, so you have to end up spacing your part out with big chunks of metal. And yeah, it just doesn't do well with thicker materials. Got a sweet little vice dealio here. But yeah, that's about it for this. I'm gonna put together the new bandsaw and see what kind of modifications. I saw a video where somebody put like a table on it, so you can prop it up, have a table, and use it like just a bandsaw instead of a horizontal bandsaw. Thought that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, that's about it for this old girl. Probably clean it up and put her up for sale. All right, got her open. As So we got a sweet little manual there. Got some nice sheet metal legs. I think, I really don't know, but I thought the older ones came with like cast iron legs. All the stuff I've read online about these was the legs are really, janky. Which, this is a pretty good thickness sheet metal, doesn't feel too bad. And there's one cross brace, maybe it needs a second down lower. At least the machine they had set up in the store only had one. Maybe it was missing. Could have been missing one, I don't know. Cross brace number 2, like why would they, all that just for shipping instead of having it be one piece? I'm guessing it was just for shipping. They put hinges, but it would be quite a bit more durable if it were one welded solid piece. I would think. I'm no engineer, but usually hinges not as good. And this I think is the cross brace. Yeah, it looks like there's only one on the manual. Picture on the manual. Let's see. Greasy parts. Let's see. Kind of lay some stuff out. Lay them's down. Lays that's theirs. Some real nice wheels. Ooh, it's got some needle bearings in there. That's fancy. Fancy schmancy. I don't know if people are really wheeling these things around that much, but, maybe. So, aluminum pulleys, 80 feet per minute, 120 feet per minute, 200 feet per minute. No idea what that does. Bag of bolts. A couple more little brace things. And I don't know, these must be the feet. Yeah, feet, and then the wheels. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. It is pretty heavy. You see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wrestle this girl around. Ew! Look how much freaking grease they just globbed on here. Like, what does that need all that grease for? It's everywhere. I wonder what kind of grease they have over there that they have such an abundance of that they can just glob it all over everything. Alright, got her out of the box. Sucker's heavy, man. Surprisingly heavy. It's a lot of weight to put on a little sheet metal foldy base thing. So I wiped some of the freaking grease off. They just globbed it all over everything. Casting is just top notch. No, it's really not terrible. Most castings have flaws like that. It's just a matter of what quality of tool you get. Depends on if they fill all the pores in there or they don't fill all the pores like they did here. Yeah, I did come with a blade. Would you look at that? Can't tell what kind of blade. It's a 1640. I'm not sure what that means. Does it go just like that? Oh yeah, it must. There's some other holes up here. I wasn't sure if it went in there, but I don't think it can. It doesn't fit. Don't fit all the way up there. Alright, so we're gonna do it's gotta be these smaller bolts, smaller washers. There's only 2. Oh no, there's these 2 are different lengths. And then there's some of these big guys. It's not the big guys. It's gonna be either the shorter screw or this longer screw. I can't tell. So it says in the book, the M6x10s hold the the feet's on. Well, either the feet or the wheels. And then it said M6 by 12 for the shelf. But it looks like all the rest of these, except one, are all shorter M6 by 10s. So I only have two that are M6 by 12. And I mean, I've got a couple millimeters hanging out the bottom. But I think just because there's only two of these, that means they probably go somewhere else that only uses 2 bolts, because this uses 4. So I'm gonna get this other side in, and then I'll swap this bolt out with one of the shorter ones and hope for the best. So I guess that goes like that. Look how much freaking adjustment they give you. Got like a full 1/2 inch down and then a 1/2 inch up. Like, why in the world would I need that much adjustment? This is probably one of those things where you don't want to tighten anything down really. But then again, they give you freaking tons of adjustment. Like, doesn't really look like it in the picture, but that's a full thumb's width of slidey back and forth adjustment. So it might be best to max it out all the way up in the adjustment range. That way the bolt is closest to the bend instead of way up here and where it can bend easier. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. It doesn't say anywhere in the manual, and the manual, even in the parts diagram, doesn't show these, but it came with 2 of these and 2 of these with the foot attached. So over here, they show it in that corner with the foot, and I'm guessing the other 2 that don't have feet attached go on the wheel side, and that way it's a little bit reinforced, and there's also a place to put a bolt in the side like it was showing. Now the weird thing is, it says to use that same number 9 bolt going in that direction, but it does not say what to go through the side. But where this is thin metal and this is thin metal, and same with the legs, I'm gonna go with the short bolts go through the side, the 10mm long ones, and those 2 12mm long ones that we have, those are the ones that are gonna go through this, all the way through these and the leg, because they have to be long enough. So I'm gonna do that. So they're gonna go down in that lower corner back there. You can see it. So I already got one nut in. I'm gonna have to take that nut out so I can put this in that corner there. So I got those little brackets in there, and I got the that's the leg brace thing that holds the wheels on. And I made sure to kind of finger tighten them and push them up into that corner as far as I could, just so it's all the way pressed in there. I think it just does that little number. So it says to put them in right there. See that hole? So I can put them in like so. I just have to make sure that they're bent, I guess, all the way back up so that you can still lift the handle up and use it. So I guess I'll shorten these pins up a little bit. Alright, I went and chopped off about a 1/2 inch worth, and just gonna drop them in there. So you can't bend it all the way up because you need to be able to turn it. You gotta be able to turn it all the way back here so you can push the other leg up and get it to clear the leg bracket thingy, and then you can straighten it back out and pull it up the rest of the way. Lovely. That is a craptacular handle right there. I tell you what. Alright, so it doesn't show it in the instrucciones, but next is gonna be these feet, and they're gonna go up here, and I'm gonna use those short bolts on all four of them, all four of the holes, 2 of the feet. Alright, so I'm gonna wait to put the wheels on, because I think it's sitting on the ground how it is right now. It'll be less likely that the legs will just whoop when I go to set the bandsaw on. So it says to put the motor end at the side with the wheels. So the heavy end will be on the side with the wheels. Place the motor end at the wheel end. Make sure the upper section of the stand fits inside the base of the bandsaw. Alright, so I don't see anything that'll hang us up. Right on the cord. Alright, I'm gonna try to heft this up there without killing myself. Alright, so I went ahead and just unbolted the motor. It's got one bolt that goes up through the bottom there, and then one that goes through the top here. And the top one has a bolt going into the head. I'm guessing that holds maybe a shroud or something. I don't know. Not sure, but it made it a little bit lighter. Oh, set it on the stand. Tap these things inward so that it pushes all the way up against the outside there. Threw the motor back on, threw the wheels on, cleaned off the Cosmoline. One thing I didn't notice was it's kind of cool. It came with a plate so you can use it like a vertical bandsaw. I didn't know that. I know people sell these and make these, but apparently they come with them now. I don't know if they always did. It definitely was not on the display. So next step is the pulley cover. Make sure you put that on before the pulleys. Looks like it goes that way. So yeah, this bolt is gonna have to come out because I think it goes right there in that hole. And then we're gonna have to take these two. There's 2 holes cut in the guard, but only one of these has a washer. And the instructions say 1. So I wonder if I'm supposed to leave one of those out. Yeah, because then when I go to tighten the pulley guard down, it's going to be all cocked over because this bolt is still, this screw is still going to be in there, so it won't be able to sit flush. So I wonder if the washer is supposed to go in between the pulley guard and this, and that would stand it off. I don't know. That's freaking a little bit janky. I'll mess with it. Alright, let me show you what I'm talking about. So, if I stick it together this way, you can see those 2 holes line up. The instructions do say, and they also show 1 screw with a washer right there in that 1 hole. But then, when I go to tighten it down, see that big gap where the other screws are? It's going to be all freaking cocked up, not being able to sit flush. So what I'm thinking is I put a washer in place of the screw to space it off just a little. I don't see any reason I can't use both of the holes. Like, it doesn't need a pivot at all. The only thing that pivots is the motor, and it's not attached to anything on the pulley guard. So I think I'm gonna get a couple washers and I'm gonna put them in behind this guard just to space it off, and then I'm going to use both of those screws, also with washers. So it'll go screw, washer, guard, washer, and then in. So yeah, I'm just going to go dig up a couple of these washers right here. I'm going to need 3 of them. It came with 1, and I need to add 1 more for this second screw, and I need to add 2 to put in between the guard and the bandsaw. I'll bring it back. Alright, so hopefully this makes sense. So I've got my washers on my 2 screws, and then I've got washers behind there, standing it off right there so that this screw is not in the way. So I think the other option would have been to just drill a 3rd hole for that screw. But 2 is good enough. They said to use 1. And then there's 1 more screw right here, that motor bolt that had a screw sticking out of the bolt. That's gonna go like so. All right, I got the pulleys on. The problem is this shaft is not long enough. So it doesn't look like it, but there's about 1/2 inch. And this pulley is the same as, well, it's bigger, but it's the same style where the hole doesn't go all the way up here. So there's only like 1/2 inch of engagement of the shaft onto the pulley, which I don't know. This pulley here is down all the way. I also have the motor. The motor has a little bit of adjustment side to side. Oh, actually, I can adjust it down more. I adjusted these bolts up here so that it was down, but I'm going to slide the whole motor down, which will pull this pulley down, which will allow me to slide this pulley down. Actually, I can't slide it down anymore because it's hitting the guard. I can slide it down a little bit, but not very much. That'll get me like another maybe 1/8 of an inch of engagement by moving the motor down. I guess I could take out these bolts. That'll let me bring the guard down a little bit more, and I'll drill that 3rd. Well, I don't know how much you got before my camera died, and I don't have much time before it dies again. But I took it all apart, and I was looking at the back of the guard right there. See that bend right under the bolt hole? That is from this ledge, so I can't flush it up against this. So even with the washers that I was using as standoffs, it was still hitting this. So I mean, I could grind all that out so that I can draw the guard in more. I don't really want to do that, because then I think it's gonna hit on that. Yeah, shoot, this shaft just needs to be longer. Like, that's all there is to it. I guess that's what you get with budget machinery. Such is my life, either budget machinery or used broken old crap machinery. That's the method I choose to go. If I were trying to run a business, I would not do this. I would go for equipment that was nice and worked. But so, yep, I'm gonna go ahead and put her back together the way I had it. I think I can adjust the motor down a tiny bit before it hits the guard, like maybe 1/8 of an inch. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll make sure the motor's aligned also. All right, I think I got the pulleys squared up. Best I could. Just take a rule, stick it on the pulley, and make sure it's all nice and aligned. And then I thought that maybe just the weight of the motor would put tension on the pulley on the belt, but it doesn't. You actually have to tighten that bolt, and that will put tension on the pulley. It says to do 1/2 inch when you push on it. I left it a little looser than that. I have more like a 1 inch. I'm just going through everything, checking to make sure everything is good. I need to adjust this bearing back a little bit because it's pushing the blade forward. So what I was doing, I was just rotating it by hand in the correct direction, and it was starting to walk off the pulley. And the other way you adjust that is by tightening this knob up here. If you tighten it, it will pull the wheel up, which will in turn push the blade into the pulley more. So if you have your blade walking off, you want to tighten this. If you have your blade trying to push back, if that makes any sense, you want to loosen this. But you do need it to be tight. From the factory, this knob was super tight. But I think, I mean, I can just see it hitting that bearing, and it's hitting way too hard. Yeah, almost looks like it's about to fall off. So to adjust that, you just take your 14 millimeter and break her loose there, and it should slide back. So yeah, you got adjustment side to side and in and out. So for the side to side adjustment, I think we're gonna need to do some test cuts. So for right now, I'm just gonna try to get it square, side to side, and I'm gonna push the bearing that rides on the back of the blade. I'm gonna push it right up against the blade, because right now I have the blade pushed all the way on the pulley. So it's where it needs to be on the pulley. It's just not where it needs to be on the bearing. So yeah, I've just got it pushed up against the blade, and I'm gonna tighten that guy up. This one down here, yeah, it's pushing on the bearing pretty good too. And then we'll have to get a square. So yeah, you can see the blade's right up against that bearing. And then the blade is all the way on the pulley, which for this particular machine, and probably most bandsaws, the teeth will be proud of the pulley. You don't want the teeth on the actual pulley, because the teeth are flared in and out, in and out. Every other tooth is bent one way and then the other way. So I've got these sort of tight. It's definitely not square anymore. I'm just gonna turn it by hand, and it looks like we're hitting this little guard here. Oh yeah, definitely hitting the little guard. Yeah, I'll just mess with this for a little bit, and then I'll tell you what I did. All right, I think I got it as good as I can. I've got the blade square to the table. This blade is, I don't know how they're supposed to be, but it's got some wobble. So you can see that bearing back there. It's barely touching it, but look at the gap. It's in and out, in and out. And up here, it is riding this bearing, but the blade is on the pulley where it needs to be. And then this is adjusted out as far as it can go. So I think maybe once weight's on it, it'll push the blade up against that bearing. Otherwise, I have a different blade we can try. But everything seems to be riding where it should. It sounds good. So I think next up is to try a test cut. I've got the pulleys tight. So what you do, you loosen these, and then you can tighten or loosen that main pulley up and down. They're tightened back up. This guy, I don't know. I see people run these things and they just run this wide open all the time. I think for this test cut, we'll just put it down. I haven't checked if this is square to the blade. I guess I should have probably done that. Let's see. We'll just get a rough. Yeah, it's pretty close. And then I also checked it square this way, and it's pretty dang good. Checked it down there and over here. So I've got this piece of aluminum tubing. I don't know if that thing's supposed to be tighter. Seems pretty loose. Just snug it down. Snug it down just a little. And then you tighten your vise with this guy. Let's see where that gets us. Yeah, I'm not trying to cut off a bunch. Just doing a little test run. But I do want a full cut, so make sure that's down all the way. Tighten that up. Make sure flush with the table. Okay. There is one piece that I never did put on. Not sure where this thingy's supposed to go. See if they got it in the exploded diagram. Right there. Oh, it's for the table. It's for this table right here. We'll fire it up and we're gonna listen for noise. We don't want the blade to start cutting anything other than the material. So both of our bearings are spinning. We got to adjust our stop. Just a tiny bit. It's like barely in the way. Dang it. Let's see. Perfect. Pretty good cut right there. Made myself a nice big washer. We just gotta see how square it is. Ooh, look how close that is. Gotta make sure that's not. Yeah, that hits. If it would have been clapped right there, it would have been hitting. All right, it's a pretty good cut. That would have taken about 10 minutes on the old power hacksaw. I don't know where my other bigger square went, but I do have this. So, hold it against the bar. Wow, that's pretty dang perfect right there. So the blade was cutting, it cut down this way, so we'll check that way. Holy cow, it's freaking perfect on the first try. Look at that. And then we'll check 90 degrees to the cut. No way. First try. And it's dead on. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call that a success. I literally just lined the blade up using my rule on the table. Got it squared up here and down here. I didn't do any adjustment like this way. I made sure the eccentric, so these bearings here are on an eccentric shaft. So you rotate it to tighten those bearings up against the blade, then tighten them back up. And then these, I just pushed them out until it was square, tightened them up. I didn't do any, they've got more adjustment side to side, or you can do the eccentric. I just freaking put them wherever they went and got a nice square cut out of it, so that's cool. It looks like this guy is adjusted pretty well. That's your stop for when you're lowering it, how far down it goes. The only thing I don't like is there's like barely any pressure pushing down. So you can adjust that with this and that'll loosen up the spring. But I've already got it pretty dang loose. Much looser, and it's just gonna fall off. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of cool though. Kind of excited it came with a table. Come over and do my bandsawing. Yeah, that's pretty neat. So, well, that's about it, I guess. Next step is I'm gonna do either the air compressor or the power hacksaw. They both just need to be cleaned up, and I'm gonna paint this thing. And I'm still debating if I want to use my other tank with the bad pump. It's a little bit bigger, but it's definitely newer and in better shape. The problem with these is people leave them full of air and lots of moisture, lots of water, and they'll rust from the inside. And yeah, I just don't know. But yep, all right, see you later.